Swindon Town have been absolutely this year, currently sitting just 1 point outside of the League 2 relegation places. They have won just 2 games all season, and unless new manager Ian Holloway can turn things around, Swindon Town will be in the National League next season. The Robins are in desperate need of a helping hand, so today we are going to jump into FC25, take charge of Swindon Town, battle through the leagues with the end goal of winning them a Champions League trophy. And if you do enjoy the content, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it does help me out. We're trying to get 5,000 subscribers by the start of 2025. Let's now jump into FC25 and get this Swindon Town rebuild on the way. So this is the Swindon Town team we have loaded into in FC25, and it's yet another team who have gone for a 5 at the back formation, which is just plaguing football at the minute. But in terms of player overall, this team is shocking to start off with. Now, we're not going to be using a 5 at the back formation at all in this rebuild. We're going to have a play around with the system and pick a better formation for this rebuild. And can I just say, picking a tactic for season 1 was not easy for this team, as it absolutely stinks. We've got no wingers, we've got an abundance of central midfielders, we've got loads of strikers and defenders. We are pretty much forced to play a formation that does not have wingers in season 1. So for season 1 we will be going with a 4-3-1-2 formation, which is literally just packing out the midfield. This is the best team I could come up with to head into the new season, and it's not really looking good on paper. We do have 2 really decent players in midfield in Kilkenny and Offerbaugh, and Cox at the back looks like a decent player as well. But I can't lie, boys, this squad stinks. And to make matters worse, in season 1 transfers are banned. We cannot make any signings at all till season 2, so I'm really not expecting much from this team heading into season number 1. But one thing I can guarantee you in this rebuild, this formation will be getting changed when we can finally make changes to the team in season 2, as my main priority next season will be bringing some wingers through the door, so I do not want to play without wingers in this rebuild. Now, because we have to pack out the midfield in this rebuild, we're going to start off with the tiki-taka tactical preset, which I'm hopeful will bring us some positive results heading into season number 1. However, as this is not the formation we want to use for the entire rebuild, we may come back and look to switch up this tactical preset at some point in the rebuild. Now, Swindon Town have got absolutely loads of players out of contract in season number 1, which really does not help me out at all. And 2 of our best players, George Cox and Grant Halls, both contracts are expiring at the end of the season, so it's crucial we get these 2 guys tied down to permanent deals. Now, we have got 2 exciting players at the club in Gavin Kilkenny, who's 24 and 65 rated, and Amanda Offerbaugh, who is 24-year-old and 65 rated as well. These are 2 players that I'm really hoping can fire us up the leagues and get us to at least a championship before they need replacing. But other than that, lads, there's literally no other promising young player at the club, and this just shows how much work we have actually got to do with Swindon Town to make them a competitive side. Now, thankfully, we are starting off with an excellent young right back in our youth academy, Hugo Vellante, who is 63 rated, 17-year-old, and has potential between 82 and 94. He is going straight into our senior team and becoming our first choice right back. Now, in recent weeks, I've been asking you for recommendations. Where should I send my youth scouts? Today, we are going to go with this comment, and we are going to be sending our youth scouts to South Africa. And fun fact, South Africa have actually given me one of my favourite ever football memories. That first goal from the 2010 World Cup, absolute legendary. And I'm really hopeful that by the time our scouts come back, we have picked up an insane talent from South Africa. So I don't really think there's much more we can really do in season number 1 as transfers are banned. We've picked a starting 11, picked a tactic, sent our youth scouts out. All that's really left to do now is simulate forward straight through to the end of season 1, and I'm just hopeful that we can get on in game better than Swindon Town are doing in real life. So we have arrived at the end of season 1, boys, and hey, I'm bloody good, mate. I'm bloody good, as we have finished second in League 2 with Swindon Town securing promotion to League 1. We finished on 82 points, 3 points clear of 4th place Carlisle United, meaning we've secured automatic promotion. And against all the odds, Swindon Town will be in League 1 next season, and if there's anyone from the club watching this video, I'm happy to sign any contract you throw at me. Now, we're going to completely bypass the cups in the early seasons, as we've got absolutely no chance of winning any of them, especially the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, as it's actually impossible to win. Instead, I want to show you our youth academy, and lads, honestly, we have got some insane talent in this youth academy. Camille Cardoso, 54 rated, 88 to 94 potential. He's 14-year-old. As soon as he's old enough, he's going straight into the starting 11. We've got South African winger Tulani Shabalala, who is 59 rated, 87 to 94 potential. Hopefully he turns 16 by the start of next season, and I've got no qualms throwing him straight into the team. And the pick of the bunch is Englishman Dominic Parr, 57 rated, 15-year-old, 90 to 94 potential. Cannot wait to get all these three in and around the first team. And as you know, we want to change the formation to include wingers, so hopefully Shabalala and Parr turn 16 by the start of next season and we can get them straight into our starting 11. So this is how the Swindon Town team is looking at the end of season number 1. Really strong team. Kilkenny, Offerball and Valente are our best players by a mile. Going into season 2, have we got a team that is strong enough to stay up? I'm not 100% sure. We are going to lose Shimanga up front and Barden in goal, meaning we're probably going to need a new goalkeeper and striker in season number 2. We are going to be switching up the formation to include some wingers, and our signings are completely dependent on transfer budget, which I think is going to be very minimal. We are probably going to be stuck to loan to buys and free agents. Now, in terms of stats, Kabongo Shimanga was by far our best player, getting 27 goals and 8 assists. I would love to sign him permanently, but at 27-year-old and 64 rated, I just do not think he is worth any investment. So we've arrived in season 2 and somehow we have bagged ourselves £5 million to improve our team. So we may be able to make 1 or 2 cash signings, but we're still going to try to use the loan market to the best of our ability. And we have kicked off our season 2 transfer window with a loan to buy, obviously, as we have loaned in Callum Marshall from West Ham United. He's 20-year-old, 65 rated, looks like a really decent player, 1.3 million value. We've got him on loan for 12 months, and at the end of his loan, we can sign him for 990 grand, which is an absolute steal, and I've no doubt he's going to be a great striker for Swindon Town. And you may notice that the starting 11 has been altered. We have now opted for a 4-3-3 holding formation, which sees us introduce wingers to our team. It also allows us to get Offerball into his primary position as a defensive midfielder, and I actually think the team looks better now we've got wingers in the side. And we are literally now just waiting for our Academy Wonder kids to turn 16 so we can get them straight into this team. And for our next signing, I think it's pivotal that we bring in a League 1 standard goalkeeper who's got a little bit of room to develop, and we've found Victor Asnan, who is playing for Crawley Town at the minute. He's 22-year-old Brazilian, 65 rated, got pretty decent stats for a League 1 level goalkeeper. We're going to be paying anywhere from 870 grand to 1.4 million, which I think wouldn't put a massive dent in our budget, and he would instantly be the best goalkeeper at the club if we bring him in. And Asnar has joined the club for £1 million on a 5-year deal, and I'm actually really happy with this signing, as we are still left with £3 million in the bank, so we have still got time to make a marquee signing in this window. And looking at our team, boys, I think we've got a decent attack, good midfield. I just think we're lacking a really solid centre-back. So in this transfer window, with our remaining money, we're going to look to bring in a centre-back who can push us on to Championship football. And we have just noticed that Nelson Abbey's contract is expiring at the end of the season. He's 21 years old, he is 69 rated, currently playing his football over in Greece, has a market value of 2.2 million, but we can pay anywhere from 1.4 to 2.3 million for him, which would be an insane deal. And if we can bring Nelson Abbey to Swindon Town, this would be an insane signing. And Nelson Abbey has actually joined us for 1.6 million, and this is such a good signing. Now, I have got a slight bad feeling that Nelson Abbey could have played for Reading, who I think are one of Swindon's rivals, but let's just slyly brush that under the carpet just for this rebuild. Now, that leaves us with £1 million in the bank, but we do have a few players who are leaving the club, so we could yet make one more signing. And if we do bring another player to the football club, it will be in the central midfield position to replace Kane. And lads, we have had some amazing news. Fulani Shabalala has now reached 16-year-old, meaning we can now promote him to the senior team. We're going to retrain his position to a right winger, and he is going to be our first choice winger going into this season. And our final signing of season number 2 sees us loaning exciting youngster Sol Sidibe on a 1-season loan from Stoke City. He's 18 years old, 63 rated, showing great potential, and at the end of his loan we can sign him for 950 grand, which would be an absolute steal, and he is going straight into our starting lineup. And with our transfer business concluded, this will be the Swindon Town team to take us into season number 2. I'm really hopeful that players like Valente, Cox, Abbey and Kilkenny can all crack 70 rated this season. We've definitely brought in some really quality young players who I'm going to be keeping a keen eye on. Hopefully we can see some good growth, and for me, I think this team should be getting at least mid-table in League 1. Now, before we simulate to the end of the season, we have sold a few players. Sadu Khan has left the club for 370 grand. Jeff King has also left the club for 170 grand. Aaron Drinnen has gone for 440 grand, and that does leave us with around £1 1 million in the bank to bring in some new court treats and bring in youth players, which is really pivotal to our success. Now I think there's nothing left to do but simulate forward straight through to the end of season 2 and let's see how we get on in League 1. So we have arrived at the end of season number 2, boys, and we have secured an 11th place finish in League 1. Top half finish in our first season in England's 3rd tier, which I'm really happy about, to be honest. And looking at the league table, we was only actually 5 points off the playoff places, so with the right additions in season number 3, hopefully we can make a charge for them playoff positions. We once again aren't going to check the cups because we really haven't done that well enough, but we did find another really good South African player, Dimi Botha. He's 16-year-old and 60 rated, 88 to 94 potential and 16 years old, so he will get promoted to our senior team and loaned out next season. And speaking of the senior team, this is how the team is looking at the end of season 2. Really decent team on paper. Asner, Valente, Abbey and Kilkenny all over 70 rated, which we love to see. Shabalala and Parr both out on the wings, both promoted from the youth academy, growing nicely as well. And you may notice that Offerball is not our current CDM. Sobakue is. He was in our youth academy. He had 80 to 94 potential and he was 64 rated. We promoted him straight to the senior team and got him straight into the starting 11. Now next season we do have to make Sidibe and Marshall's loans permanent, which I think will equivalent to 2.5 million, adding both transfer fees together and wages. So we may not have too much money next season without making any sales. We do have any leftover money though. We definitely need to bring in a centre back to replace Minturn. But once again, lads, that is completely budget dependent. Now in terms of stats, it was actually Callum Marshall who was our standout performer, getting 19 goals and 6 assists. We will definitely be making him a permanent signing next season. And Shabalala had a great first season in senior football, scoring 16 times and getting 5 assists. I'm really looking forward to seeing how he gets on season 3. And speaking of season 3, let's get there now and try and get into the playoff places. So we have arrived in season 3 and we've got £3 million, and I'm hoping we'll have just enough to make Marshall and Sidibe permanent signings. But I have just noticed, boys, that we have got a hell of a lot of players out of contract at the end of the season. We've got to renew so many deals. This could be a bit of a sticky transfer window. But kicking things off, I think it's absolutely pivotal that we tie Callum Marshall down to a long-term contract at Swindon Town. He was our top scorer last season. I'm really hoping he can fire us to the championship. He's worth 3.1 million. We are going to buy him for 990 grand, which is a bit of a steal. And Marshall has committed his next 5 years to Swindon Town, and this is a really good signing. Now we are also making Sol Sidibe's loan into a permanent deal. He's worth 2.4 million. We are going to buy him for just 950 grand. And Sol Sidibe is in on a 5-year deal, but we have literally used all our budget to get these 2 loan signings made permanent, as we have now only got 822 grand in the bank. And when you think of all the contracts we've got to renew, I really don't think we're going to sign anyone in this transfer window. So we have renewed all the relevant contracts and we are left with just 442 grand in the bank, and that really puts any potential incomings into doubt. However, we do have some good news. Camille Cardoso is now 16 years old. He's got unbelievable potential. He's got 5-star. We're going to promote him to the senior team and get him out on loan this season. And we also have a decent looking young centre back, Lebahang Teka, who's 62 rated and got 77 to 83 potential. I think he could be a decent defender on the road to getting towards the Premier League, and I'm tempted to bring him in and make him our starting centre back going into season number 3. Now I don't think we're going to have enough money in the bank to send our scouts off to South Africa this summer. We've brought so many South Africans through at the minute. We could have 3 academy players in the starting 11 going into season 3, which would be really impressive. And in this transfer window, we have also seen some players leave the club. Tariq Uwake has left the club for 420 grand. Joel McGregor has left the club for 490 grand. Ryan Delaney has left the club for 350 grand. Harry Smith has also left the club for 350 grand. And we've managed to loan out 2 of our academy wonder kids. Camilo Cardoso is out on loan for the next 2 years, and Dimi Botha is also out on loan for the next 2 years as well. Now we do actually have £3 million in the bank, so we will have a little scour of the transfer market just to see if we can bring in a first choice centre back, as that's the position I feel like we need to strengthen the most. And we have made one final signing in this transfer window, as we have loaned in Diogo Monteiro from Leeds United. The guy was incredible in FC25. He's 21-year-old, 65 rated. He signs on a 2-year loan, and when that loan's up, we can sign him for 1.7 million, which I think is a really decent decent deal, and he goes straight into our starting 11. And with those new signings made, this will be the Swindon Town team to take us into season number 3. The squad is actually looking really strong. We've had a lot of growth in the off season. I'm really confident this team can have a good run for the playoffs, as there's so many 70 rated and high 60 rated players in that team. We've got a good bench as well, loads of solid players. We've got a youth academy player on there in Tekka. I think we've got potential to have a very good season this season. And now that our transfer window is close for business, as we will not be letting anyone else go, we are now going to be simulating forward straight through to the end of season 3. And my personal goal for this season is to get into the playoffs. So we have arrived at the end of season number 3, and in season number 4, boys, we will be playing championship football, as we have finished top of the League 1 table on 97 points, losing just 5 of our 46 games, scoring 91 goals, and Swindon Town are going to the championship. And you may remember that I said it's impossible to win the Bristol Street Motors Trophy in FC25. Well, it turns out I lied, as we have actually gone and won the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, beating Notts County 5-1 in the final, and that is the first time since I've been on YouTube we have ever won this trophy. And this will be the Swindon Town team that heads into the championship. It's looking extremely strong. Genuinely, I think, looking at that squad on paper, it's a mid-table championship side. Our youth academy players, Valente, Shabalala, Sabukwe and Part, are all growing really nicely. And I actually think we've got a really good team there on paper. But going into season number 4, we do need some reinforcements. We're definitely going to bring a left back to the football club to replace Cox, as he's pretty much reached his ceiling. And I do still think we are lacking in the centre-back position. Obviously, Parr is 68 rated and joint lowest in the starting 11, but his potential is insane. Monteiro, on the other hand, I don't think is going to grow to the same heights Parr can, and he's already 22 and 68 rated. We may have to look to spend a big chunk of our money on a first-choice centre-back. But before we get into season 4, we do need to check our stats, and Callum Marshall was fantastic this season, getting 32 goals and 15 assists, comfortably our best player. So let's waste no further time, let's get into season 4, get Swindon Town ready for the championship, and hopefully, with the squad we've got, make a playoff push at the very least. So we have arrived in season 4 and we've only got £8 million in the bank, which is a little bit disappointing, and it probably means we can only bring either a left back or centre back to the club. And the contract situation really does not help. So many first team players out of contract, and that's going to use up a good chunk of our budget as well. Now, given the fact we don't have a massive transfer budget, I think the wise thing to do is at least give Diogo Monteiro another season as first choice centre back, as we do still have him for another season long loan. He's 22, 68 rated. He could have a decent season in terms of growth, we don't know, and we can sign him for 1.7 million at the end of his loan. It's a really decent deal, to be honest, and we're going to focus all of our budget into signing a left back. And after renewing all the contracts that were expiring, we've used £1 million. We've got 7 million left in the bank, and I'm hopeful we can bring a really decent left back in with that money. And I know you're thinking about the high potential left back we sent out on loan, Camilo Cardoso. He's 64 rated, 17-year-old, is having a decent loan, however he's not quite ready to start in the championship. So it's decided that most of our funds will go into signing a left back in this window, and we have identified a man we want to bring to Swindon. That man is Ian Best, currently playing for Brighton in the Premier League. He's 21 years old, he's 72 rated. I really do like the look of his stats, and he's affordable as well, boys. We're going to be paying anywhere from 3.25 to 5.4 million for him. Add wages onto that, and that should probably see all of our transfer budget gone, and it is a big improvement in the left back position if we sign him permanently. And 4.3 million is enough to bring Ian Best to the club, but he is bagging himself 25 grand a week, leaving us with £1 million in the bank. We do need to bring a few coaches in. I would like to send my youth scouts back to South Africa this season. Don't think we're going to sign anyone else in this window, boys. Now, on a whole, we have had a very quiet transfer window. Ian Best is the only player to join the club, and we have had 2 outgoings in this window, and I think that's going to be our transfer window completely done. We aren't looking to sell anyone else, and we cannot afford to bring anyone else into the football club, meaning this will be the Swindon Town team to take us into season 4. I'm really happy with how that team looks, very strong on paper. I'm hoping Monteiro can break past 70 rated, but I'm 100% sure Parr will be about 72, 73 rated by the end of the season. I think we will have some players close to 80 rated by the end of the season as well, so I'm hoping our stay in the championship is a short one and we can get to the Premier League as soon as possible. Now, as we said, we don't expect any more business to happen in this window. We are now going to be simulating straight through to the end of season 4, and fingers crossed, come May, we are in the playoffs. So we have arrived at the end of season number 4, boys, and if you remember, I said I wanted us to make a charge for the playoffs. Well, we only went and finished 5th in the championship, scoring 93 goals along the way, winning 23 games. We look like we were a really dangerous side this season, and that does mean we will take on Everton for a chance to get to Wembley and potentially at the Premier League. Now, we did manage to get past Everton, boys, drawing the second leg 0-0, winning the first leg 2-0. 2-0 was the aggregate score, heading into a Wembley final against Leeds United, who battered West Bromwich Albion. And we have done it, boys. We have absolutely battered Leeds United 4-1 at Wembley Stadium. And Swindon Town, for the first time since 1994, are in the Premier League. Now, this season is the first time we're going to check how we got on in the FA Cup, as we've actually had a decent run, getting to the 5th round, where unfortunately we lost on penalties to Sheffield United. So this is the Swindon Town team that has got us to the Premier League, and I think it's looking very strong all across the pitch. Marshall has become our first 80 rated player, with Sobakue and Volante not far behind there, both 79 rated. And Shabalala are continuing to grow on the wings, which we love to see. However, there is a glaring weak point in this team, and it is definitely the centre-back position. Monteiro's loan is about to end. He's 72 rated, 23 years old. I think I am going to make the loan permanent, as I think he would be a decent rotation player. But in season number 5, we have to bring in a Premier League level centre-back to partner Abe. And if I'm being 100% honest, boys, I really think Asnar is not good enough to compete in the Premier League. I want to bring a goalkeeper in who's ideally over 80 rated. As we've already shown, we can score goals, boys. We scored 93 goals this season. If we can solidify our back line and start conceding less goals, we could be a real force in the Premier League. Now, in terms of stats, Callum Marshall was outstanding this season. He got 37 goals and 8 assists. Some player he's turning out to be. Shabalala was outstanding as well, 25 goals and 5 assists from the wing, which we love to see. So what a season number 4 was. We are officially a Premier League side. Let's get into season 5 and make Swindon Town ready for Premier League football. So we have arrived in season number 5, and we have only got £34 million in the bank. We are going to be making Monteiro's loan permanent, which I think will drop us down to about 30 million. But I am going to be putting most of this money into signing a centre-back to partner Abe. We may look to sell Asnar if a good bid comes in, and then we can bring another goalkeeper in. It may just be a case of bringing Monteiro in and a centre-back, and that could be us done. So first things first, we will be making Monteiro's loan into a permanent deal. It will be a pretty decent backup centre-back for us. He's worth 2.4 million. We're going to get him for 1.7 million. Then after that, we have got so many first team players out of contract, boys. The board have really shafted us by giving us such a tiny budget. And Monteiro is in, boys, on a 5-year deal. And after renewing all the relevant contracts, we have got £27 million in the bank, which isn't necessarily too bad, boys. And we have spotted a bit of a bargain when it comes to signing a centre-back, as we have identified Finn Yelch of Girona, who is 21-year-old and 75 rated with really decent stats, 4-star weak foot, and he is a pretty decent player as well in terms of development. We can sign him, boys, from anywhere from 10 to 13 million, which is really great value for money. And this would leave us with a little bit of money in the bank, meaning if we could make 1 or 2 sales, we may yet be able to bring in a goalkeeper in this window. And we get a great deal for Yelch, as he joins the club for 12 million on a 5-year deal, and this does save us a lot of money, as we've still got 14 million in the bank. And if we can make some sales and raise a bit of money, a goalkeeper might not yet be off the cards. We have been very busy in terms of outgoings in this transfer window. We have sold quite a few players. Daniel Butterworth has headed over to America. He's left us for 940 grand. We have sold one of our youth academy players, Lebahang Teka. He's 18-year-old, 66 rated. Just genuinely don't think he's ever got a chance of playing first team football for us. He's gone for 1.5 million. Dylan Mitchell has left the club for 500 grand. Will Wright has left the club for 610 grand. George Cox has left the club for 1.3 million. And we have loaned out yet another South African wonder kid. Jomo Mokoena has left the club on a 2-year loan. And this now leaves us with 19 million pounds in the bank to bring in a goalkeeper. And we have identified Alvaro Estevez of Athletic Bilbao. He is 24-year-old, 84 rated, really decent stats. I think I may have signed him before to be a backup goalkeeper for us, but I can't quite remember. And he's very affordable, boys. We're going to be paying anywhere from 14.5 to 19.4 million for him. Hopefully we can keep the price tag down, keep the wages down. I think he would be a very good first choice goalkeeper for us. And Alvaro Estevez signs for the club for 15.5 million, as we now only have 3 million in the bank, and unless we sell all of our best players, there's no chance we raise enough funds to sign anyone else. And with our business done, this will be the Swindon Town team to take us into season number 5 and our first in the Premier League. Volante and Sobakwe have both reached 80 rated rated, which we love to see. I'm expecting players like Shabalala, Sidibe, Aceves and Abe to all be around 80 rated as well by the end of the season. Do I think this team is going to be groundbreaking in the Premier League? Absolutely not, but I do think we've got enough to stay in the division this season. And with our transfer window now finished, there's not really much we can do but simulate forward straight through to the end of season 5, and hopefully we have stayed in the Premier League with Swindon Town. So we have arrived at the end of season number 5, boys, and we have actually secured 15th place in the Premier League, 16 points clear of the relegation zone, which is a massive achievement for Swindon Town. We're not going to talk about how poor Liverpool have been this season, as they've actually finished 14th. We had a very decent run in the FA Cup. We got to the quarterfinals, but unfortunately we were drawn to Spurs and they did beat us 2-1. And this is how the Swindon Town team is looking. This team has kept us in the Premier League and it's starting to really take shape. We've got a lot of players who are well past 80 rated in Aceves, Volante, Marshall, Shabalala and Sabukwe. The team is definitely starting to take shape. I expect everyone in the starting 11 to be above 80 rated next season, which is a big plus point. And this team, let's not forget, is relatively young. Other than players like Kilkenny, Aceves and Abe, that team on a whole is 23 or under, and they've stayed in the Premier League, got to an FA Cup quarter-final. What I think this team needs now is an experienced head in the middle of the park who has got plenty of years experience in the Premier League. I don't care if they're 28, 29, 30, if they just do a job for us for a few seasons, that's my target for next season. And I've played career mode long enough to know we're going to get about 25 to 30 million next season. We're going to have to be very, very smart with that money if we want to start progressing this team. Now, in terms of stats, Callum Marshall has been revolutionary in this rebuild. 26 goals and 6 assists. You could probably say he carried us this season. But let's now get into season 6, get an experienced player through the door, and start building towards qualifying for European football. So we have now arrived in season 6, and what did I say, boys? We're going to get anywhere from 25 to 30 million. We've actually got 24 million in the bank, which really is not a lot of money. Can we bring an experienced Premier League central midfielder in with that money though? I'm pretty confident we can. And after a really long, hard negotiation with his parent club, we have managed to bring an experienced Premier League central midfielder to Swindon Town. This man is a current Champions League winner, and in real life he has really flopped at his parent club, and that man is Mason Mount. We have signed him from Manchester United for £20 million. He's 30 years old, he is 81 rated, he looks like a decent player, he has got bags of Premier League experience, he's a Chelsea Player of the Year winner, he's a Champions League winner, played at multiple international competitions, and I think he is a perfect fit for Swindon Town and a great place for him to end his career at. Now, is Mason Mount going to come in, be the star of the rebuild? No. At some point, will he drop to the bench? Absolutely. But as of right now, I think Mount is a huge signing for us and a great step in the right direction. And when I said the negotiations were hard, we have literally got £40 left in our bank account. That means there'll be no more business done at all in this window. Mount will be the only incoming, and that will mean this will be the Swindon Town team to take us into season 6. Looking really strong. I'm just hoping that Abe, Yelch and Park can all reach 80 rated this season, so we've got an 80 rated squad all across the board. And our bench also looks really decent, lads. Plenty of options there like Kilkenny, Bother, Cardoso, Monteiro and Asnar. We can definitely be much more competitive this season, and I would absolutely love to see us finish in the top half of the Premier League. Now, one player did leave the club in this transfer window. Sean McGurk has gone for 850 grand, and that will definitely be the last bit of business we do in this window. And honestly, boys, I don't really think there's anything else we can do other than simulate forward straight through to the end of season 6. All of our money is gone. I'm not willing to sell any of our players. I don't care if it's a 60 rated player, 70 rated player. I'm not entertaining any bids, and I'm actually quietly confident we can achieve a top half finish. I just want to say, I have got no idea how this has just happened, but boys, we have only gone and won the Premier League on 70 points, 5 points clear of Chelsea. Despite losing 10 of our games, we have somehow won the Premier League with Swindon, and I'm a little bit shocked because last season we finished 15th. We made one signing bringing Mason Mount to the club. Has this ever happened before on my channel? I don't actually know. Have we ever finished 15th one season or so low down in the table one season and then gone on to win the league the season after? It's just, I don't even know what to say. I'm actually a little bit shocked. So we managed to win the Premier League, but then League 2 Wycombe knock us out of the FA Cup in the 3rd round. Like, make it make sense. And obviously that means in season number 7, Swindon Town are in the Champions League, and we're also defending champions of the Premier League. Now, looking at the team, it is starting to make a little bit more sense. We've got Marshall at 87 rated, Shabalala at 88 rated, Volante at 86 rated, Sabukwe at 86 rated as well. Even Aceves and Best at both 84 rated. So the team actually is pretty strong on paper. Now, where do we improve a title winning side in season number 7? Well, we have to replace Abbey. He's 79 rated. I'm not too sure how much money we're actually going to get. I think it's going to be about 80 million. I'm happy to spend the entire 80 million on bringing a centre-back to the football club. If we have any spare money, I would like to bring in a backup striker, as Glatzel is 29-year-old, 68 rated, nowhere near good enough. But let's just see what budget we get in season 7, because it could literally be anything. Now, in terms of stats, Callum Marshall has fired us to a Premier League trophy, 43 games played, 31 goals, 6 assists. He must be one of the most prolific strikers in the Premier League right now. So season 6, in my opinion, probably the craziest season we have ever had in the entire time I've been on YouTube. Let's now get into season 7. We have to start getting Swindon Town ready for the Champions League. So we have arrived in season 7. We've got £85 million in the bank. I think I'm going to use the vast majority of this money on a centre-back, see what we've got left, and bring in a backup striker like we've already discussed. And I do think we've probably earned the right to go out and splash the cash a little bit in this transfer window. That is why we will be going in for Castello Lucbert of Villarreal. He's 27-year-old, 87 rated. Stats are absolutely insane. However, we may not actually have enough money to get this deal over the line. Our scouts seem to think Villarreal will ask from anywhere from 70 to 94 million, which is such a huge price gap. I'm just hoping we can get a good deal for Lucbert, bring him to the club. We have managed to bag our primary target, bringing Lucbert to the club for 77 million, which is a fantastic deal. But something that isn't fantastic is the fact we do only have 4 million left, and that could mean our plans to bring in a backup striker are temporarily put on hold. And do you know what, boys? We have actually managed to bring in a somewhat decent backup striker from the free agents list. Aliou and G has joined the club on a 4-year deal. 25-year-old, 76 rated, a really decent player on paper, a much better player than Glatzel. And do you know what? He's only on 26 grand a week. At 25, he can still develop. I actually think this is a really decent backup striker signing, and it's actually saved us a lot of money in the process. But now we are left with just 700 grand in the bank, and there will definitely be no more business done in this window. And once again, we are not looking to sell absolutely anyone at all in this window. And we are kicking off season 7 with a Community Shield win over Brentford as we beat them 3-1, adding another trophy to the trophy cabinet. So our transfer window is done. There's definitely going to be no more business taking place in this transfer window, but Champions League fixtures have been announced for the first ever time for Swindon Town. We kick things off at home against Bologna, which is a tie I think we should be winning. We'll then travel to PSV, another decent tie. We are then once again on our travels to Lyon, and travelling again to Borussia Dortmund, and also travelling to Anderlecht, so 4 consecutive away games there. So we're back at home to Stade Brestois, at home to Bayern Munich, and we will round things off with a tie at home to Atletico Madrid. So there are some winnable games in there. There's also some very difficult games, as you would expect. Let's simulate forward straight through to the end of season 7 and see how we got on. So we have arrived at the end of season number 7, boys, and we have actually won back-to-back Premier League titles. And how close was this? Us and Arsenal both finished on 77 points. We both finished on 25 goal difference, and we actually won the Premier League on goals scored, as we scored 11 more goals than Arsenal. Us and Arsenal have really pushed ourselves right to the end, and fortunately we have come out on top and secured back-to-back Premier League titles. Now in the FA Cup we made the quarterfinals where we lost 4-2 to Manchester United, and in the Champions League we did make the round of 16, which is what I wanted us to do. We got drawn against Atletico Madrid and they beat us 4-2 over 2 legs. Absolutely no shame in that. Hopefully we can get a bit further next season. So this is how the Swindon Town team is looking, and bear in mind this side has won back-to-back Premier League trophies. It now looks like an absolute super team on paper. So many players high 80 rated and even 90 rated players in Shabalala and Marshall. This team is absolutely insane, but going into season 8, where do we improve the team? I think the best position for us to improve is in the central midfield position by making Mason Mount drop to the bench, as he is now 32 years old. So we're looking to bring in a world-class central midfielder who's at the same level as Sidibe or Sobukwe. Don't think we're going to have any more money to improve the team. If we have any funds remaining, I may look to bring in a backup centre-back, but that is completely dependent on how much money the board decide to give us. And in terms of stats, you already guessed who was our top scorer. Callum Marshall, insane the boy is, 32 goals and 4 assists. Really impressed with Mason Mount, 19 goals and 10 assists. Will be dropping to the bench unfortunately, but he has given us a really good season. So we have now won back-to-back Premier League trophies. We're an established Champions League level side. We have now got to start putting the work in to make Swindon Town champions of Europe. So we have arrived in season 8 and we have got 96 million in the bank, which should definitely bring us in a high-level central midfielder. Will it bring us in a backup centre-back? I'm not too sure. And we have identified the central midfielder we want to bring to Swindon Town, and it's a player I have been desperate to use since FC25 first come out, and that is Job Bellingham, who is currently playing for Wolfsburg. He's 85 rated, he's 25-year-old, his stats are amazing. He's got plenty of play styles as well, and he is actually very, very affordable. Wolfsburg are going to want anywhere in a range from 52 to 70 million pounds, which I think is a really good deal, so let's bring him to Swindon Town. And 62 million pounds is enough to bring Job Bellingham to Swindon, and I'm really, really excited about this signing. And that leaves us with 30 million in the bank, and we do have quite a lot of players that are contracting this window. A lot of them are key first team players. We're going to renew all these contracts, see how much money we've got left, and then see if we can afford to bring in a backup centre-back. And after renewing all those contracts, we're left with 13 million in the bank, and to be honest boys, I don't think that's enough to bring in a backup centre-back. It's looking highly likely that Job Bellingham will be the only signing of this transfer window, and that will mean this will be the Swindon Town team to take us into season 8. It's looking really, really strong, and I'm really excited to see how these players are looking at the end of season 8, because I think we're going to have even more development this season, and we could be looking at having maybe 5-6 90 rated players in the team by the end of the season. And we are kicking season 8 off with a narrow penalties loss in the Community Shield to Nottingham Forest, and this is one of them games where when you win it, you class it as a major trophy. When you lose it, you class it as a glorified pre-season friendly, and that's what we're doing this season. So we have had another relatively quiet transfer window, and do you know what lads, I don't really mind it because the results are coming in on the pitch. Maybe we're benefiting on keeping the squad together, only bringing 1 or 2 players in the season, but our Champions League fixtures have been drawn, and we kick things off with an away tie to Salzburg. We have to be winning that. We will then take on Lens at home, which we should be winning. Braga away, we should be winning that as well. STVV, I have no idea who that club actually is, but that is an absolute must win. Roma away, another pretty forgiving tie. Milan away, Bayern Munich at home, before we finish with Monaco at home. Do you know what? I actually think our fixtures have been quite forgiving this season, and I'll be really disappointed if we don't have a good run in the league phase, and I want to get to at least the quarterfinals this season, boys. Only one way to find out how we're going to get on in season number 8. That's by simulating forward straight through to the end of the season. So we have arrived at the end of season number 8, boys, and we have only gone and won 3 consecutive Premier League trophies, finishing top of the league on 80 points. And can you actually believe Swindon Town have won 3 consecutive Premier League trophies? That is insane. We couldn't win the FA Cup though, boys. We only reached the 5th round where Brentford knocked us out, but we did win a domestic cup as we won the Carabao Cup, smashing Birmingham City 5-3 at Wembley Stadium. And we have got the chance to add 1 more trophy to our trophy cabinet as we are taking on AC Milan in the Champions League final. In the league phase, we were absolutely outstanding, going unbeaten, finishing 3rd on 18 points. In the round of 16, we beat PSG convincingly 6-3 over 2 legs, before taking on West Ham United, who we battered 4-1 over 2 legs. Then setting up a semi-final against Napoli, who we beat 5-2 over 2 legs. Very interestingly, 3 Italian teams made the semi-finals before we head to Wembley to take on AC Milan. And for our last couple of rebuilds, we've been very lucky heading into the final with no injuries. Well, we will not be able to use Sidibe in the final. I'm absolutely gutted as well, boys, because he's 90 rated and 25-year-old. He's an absolute physical specimen. But what a story this could potentially be, as Mason Mount now starts in the Champions League final for us. He's had a torrid time at Manchester United in real life. He has actually won the Champions League with Chelsea before. He will be our most experienced player heading into the Champions League final. And Marshall has just been insane. No wonder this man has won the Ballon d'Or. 53 goals in 62 games. That is an absolute joke. What a player Callum Marshall is. And now all that's left to do is head to the Champions League final and take on AC Milan. So welcome to the Estadio Metropolitano. It's Champions League final time. Let's get this trophy to Swindon. 2 South African Youth Academy players in our starting lineup, which is really, really impressive. Valente over the top. What a ball. Shabalala. Our Youth Academy graduate puts it in the back of the net. It's the first goal of the game. 1-0 to Swindon Town. Shabalala with a goal. The first clear chance of the game ends up in the back of the AC Milan net, and it's a 94 rated Starman Shabalala with a goal. What a touch that is, and what a finish. Lads, since the goal, we are just on Milan. They can't even get close to us. Job. Great ball. Marshall's in. What a chance. It's 2-0 to Swindon Town on the stroke of half-time. It is the Ballon d'Or winner, Callum Marshall. What a pass from Job. What a finish from Marshall. And that is half-time, boys. Complete domination from us. We have been all over Milan. Chance for Domina. Good save by Aceves. Really out of nothing, to be fair. And AC Milan have now got a corner. We've got to try and deal with this. I don't want to concede early into the second half. And it's a clear header and it's off the line by Callum Marshall. Excellent defending. Mount. Oh, no. Oh, that's so close from Sesko. Right, we need to wake up because AC Milan have had 3 pretty decent chances already in the second half. Shit forward. Subokwu, he's been in... Lads, there's got to be a goal here. Marshall. Pa's in. It could be free. It could be free. It is free, boys, and that is game over. Hit Milan on the counter-attack, and it's our Youth Academy graduate part with the goal. And this game is over, boys. We have won the Champions League. Let's not give him a chance. Oh, let's not give him a chance. Good save. Great save by Aceves. When he's been called upon in this final, he has been excellent. Marshall's in. This is going to be another goal, boys. Marshall won't score again. Marshall, 4-0, game over, 90th minute. Callum Marshall showing why he is the Ballon d'Or winner. Despite a little 20-minute spell in this second half, we have absolutely battered Milan today. Now Milan going to grab a consolation. Get out to him. What a save by Aceves. Get it out. Free header, get it out. Get it out. Get it out! What is going on? Oh my god. What a way to end the game. But that does not matter. Swindon Town are the champions of Europe. We have brushed aside one of the best sides in world football, 4-0. And get in there, boys. EA have still not patched the invisible Champions League trophy. I'm absolutely buzzing about that. So after all that, we don't even get to see Swindon lift the Champions League trophy. Come on, EA. You've got to be fixing bugs like this. So just want to say a massive thank you for watching the video, boys. If you have enjoyed it, please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, as it does really help me out. And I will see you next week for another rebuild.